Hello, I'm Vinny Raniolo. Welcome to my lesson called Moving Bass, and it's all about what we can do with bass lines in our rhythm playing. So I'm going to start you off first with the very basic, it's called a root fifth approach, where we're basically going to play on beats 1 and 3, or as a lot of people like to call 2-beat, even though it's 4 beats per measure. What's called 2-beat because it's just on beats 1 and 3. And then we're going to get into walking bass lines and more moving bass lines with the chords. Okay, so now to start this off, let's just take 2 chords. Let's say C major and G7. Let's do a bar of C major and a bar of G7, and let's connect those 2 chords with a walking bass line. So the way that I like to start with this is I'll play the C chord. It's this voicing of a C chord with my second finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, my first finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and my pinky on the 5th fret of the G string. So that's our C voicing here. We got C, E, and C. Now we're going to play a chromatic line up to G7. So here it is again, C, then we're going E, F, F sharp, G. And then to get back to the C, we're going to play A, B flat, B, C. And then we're back to our C chord. So let's just switch between those 2 chords. Notice what I'm doing with the strumming with my right hand. I'm actually playing the downbeat, and then I'm hitting that next chord on the upbeat. So for this walking bass technique, we're going to really need to get comfortable with hitting the chord on an upstroke. 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 So it's always on the end of 1. So if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 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 2, 3, 4. Of course, we're going to gradually start adding in more of the beats, but I think to start off with that walking bass line and adding the chord on the end of 1, I think is a great start. So now we have C to G7, which is actually our 1 chord and our 5 chord. Now let's try doing that same thing, but let's do another common chord progression, which is just our 2 to the 5. So it's a D minor to a G7. So that's like this. So you'll notice that instead of doing the chromatic notes that we were doing up to the C, now we're starting from the B and going up to the D. Okay, great. Now let's take a 1-6-2-5 chord progression. So we'll play C major for 1 bar, A minor for 1 bar, D minor for 1 bar, and G7 for 1 bar. So that's like this. Now you'll notice that I was playing around a little bit with the notes that I was using. I would maybe double some of the notes. To add a little more motion. You could also experiment with different notes. It doesn't just have to be the notes below the chord. It could be all sorts of notes that lead up to that chord. And now we can, instead of using the minor 6 and the minor 2, let's try putting dominant chords there. Now let's try putting a 2 beats on each chord. So that's going to sound like this. So that I was approaching each chord by its lower neighbor, just 1 fret below. And sometimes, if I can, I'm going to try to let the other chord ring out until I reach the next chord. Like you notice, when I play the C, I try to have that C ring out. Of course, when you get to a faster tempo, you're not really going to notice it that much, but you're going to feel it. So that's the beginning of walking bass. Now let's go to the next segment and let's play some blues. I'll see you then.